Last Tuesday, we did our first ever 100K day with our e-commerce brand, and there was no sale, no promo, no massive subs day. This was basically entirely off the Meta ad account. And today's just going to be a little bit of a business update, taking you guys through some of what we're doing on the day-to-day, some of the new strategies and ideas that we've implemented, and really just business fundamentals that have taken us from where we were a couple months ago, struggling to get 30K days, to now 100K days, 50K days. From where we were a couple of months ago to now doing our first ever 100K day and 600K in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, let's get into it. So I do this every video, but I'll just give you guys a quick refresh just so you can see, but I'll go through the last 2 weeks as well so you guys can really see where we've been at, these last 2 weeks. And yeah, as I said before, this is literally entirely just business as usual. No massive sale, no Black Friday, no loading up subs all onto one day. This is basically entirely off the ad account, and I'll show you guys that later on as well. So yeah, I'll show you guys the last 11 days here, and this is basically since we've been running ads again. We were out of stock for a couple of weeks during April, and we decided to stop running ads because we weren't going to be able to fulfill all of our subscriptions and also all the new orders. But now we're back and running live. So I'll show you guys from Sunday. I think Monday was the first big day that we did, but Sunday was the actual first day that we started running ads again. So there's 33K, or I'll show you guys a little bit further back. Yeah, so here's the last 2 weeks. So we weren't running ads. These were all just subscription days, 10, 12, 14. And then this was the first day that we started running ads. So did 33K and then 92. There's the 100K day. And now we've had to pull back again, once again, because of just making sure that we're not running out of stock, making sure that we can fulfill for all of our subscriptions and also all the new orders that are coming in now. And now we're sitting at around 40 to 50K days, literally every single day. So yeah, we've got our ad account at a point. We know our acquisition costs, we know where the break-even ROAS is, and we know how much stock that we have. So with those three things, we can basically have an input into Meta. We know how much we can spend and what exactly we'll get out of it. So we can stay around these 40 to 50K days, and that'll allow us to stay in stock while still making good revenue, good money. So yeah, for a little bit of context here, when we launched, we relaunched using cost caps, and basically we hit an absolutely massive winner that was a fresh ad in the account when we relaunched, and it basically allowed us to spend $157,000 in 2 days at break even. Yeah, at pretty much break even, but we had to pull back once again because we were going to run out of stock. And we've had this issue before where basically you run out of stock for a couple of weeks or a delayed shipment comes in, and if you keep running ads, it's going to massively halt your momentum, even worse than if you actually stop running ads, because you get terrible feedback score on Meta. Basically they'll stop pushing you, they'll boost up your CPMs massively, they'll give you to a worse audience, people that aren't as primed to buy. It works in a similar way as when you have a lot of ads that are getting taken down or you get shadow banned. It's basically just Meta punishing you for not fulfilling your service properly. And obviously it's not going to give you their best traffic if it knows that you're not fulfilling the service and giving people what they're expecting to get when they buy a product. And then yeah, I guess the other option could have been that we just completely blast ads and keep spending a stupid amount and then basically completely stopping, but that would also kill momentum, as you don't really want to be not running ads at all. So yeah, what we decided to do was pull back to a point where we know we can still scale profitably and still be spending a good amount of money to acquire customers, but not have to run out of stock and stop spending completely for a couple of weeks while we wait for the new stock to come in. And this is really what separates running a proper business and a proper brand from just running some sort of small drop shipping store that's a bit pump and dump or that sort of thing. You have to make these sort of calls, sacrifice possible revenue now for more money and more profit later on. And yeah, as you guys can see here, I haven't really talked about it too much on the channel recently, but we've completely swapped our main market now to being the US instead of Oz. So double, basically almost triple the spend in USA as compared to Oz. Whereas if you took us back a year, it was basically all Australia and no America. But yeah, we've finally cracked that angle. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people that get into the trap of thinking that profit is the biggest metric and the biggest driver and basically their main North Star for building a business. But I think it really depends on the type of business that you want to build and how long-term vision you're seeing your brand scaling to and that sort of thing. Because at this stage of our business, we're in a massive acquisition period and we plan on running this business for years into the future, another 5-10 years. So basically at this stage, every extra dollar in profit is us just leaving scale on the table, when we can be building up our monthly recurring revenue and our subscriptions, our existing customer base, when we can be trying to get as many people into the funnel as possible so we can rake in that profit months down the line, years down the line. That's really what we're building for. We're trying to build something that's so much bigger than just right now. And the only reason that we are able to do this and scale at break even off of Meta and make that money on the back end in the next couple of months is purely because of our subscription model and the MRR that we bring in. So if you're running a one-off purchase or you're no shipping or your cash flow is really tight, you literally can't run this sort of business. And that's why this model is so good. It allows us to outbid all of our competitors. We can spend so much more money on acquisition because other people are forced to make a lot of money on their first order. Otherwise, they literally can't run their business. So yeah, it allows us to outbid and basically just push all of these other people out of our market and out of the space. That's the best part about about it is that it's completely predictable. We have a dashboard where we know how much money we're going to be getting in on the back end from subscriptions, and that allows us to forecast how much we want to spend on ads and what CPA we're able to scale at. So the takeaway for you guys watching is to be able to build a brand and a business where after 12 to 18 months of you guys actually building up the brand is to be able to run Meta off of break even. So you want to be having subs basically as soon as you launch, and that should be a main focal point, is building that up. Obviously at the start you're not going to be able to run at break even or at a loss. You're still going to have to be first order profitable, but it should always be at the front of mind is building up that subscription base so you're able to do this as you scale and as you get further along in your business journey. Yeah, and I'm not trying to sell you guys anything in this video. I'm literally just showing you guys what's working for us, what we're doing at the moment to continue to scale and break past these bottlenecks and these barriers that we have and that you guys might also have. There's a free Discord, the link's in the description if you guys want to join. We've got a community over there. Me and my business partners are always active in there in the chat as well. Feel free to drop any questions that you guys have in there. We'll be happy to help out. So yeah, let's get into the business update. The first main thing is that we've finally found agencies that actually work for us. We've been running the brand for around 2.5 years now, and we've worked with multiple different creative agencies, probably at least 7 or 8. And yeah, now we've finally found 2 that are actually consistently making winning content that's outperforming our in-house creatives. And they're also coming up with completely net new concept that just allows us to broaden our demographic and our TAM so much more. And yeah, it's really good because it breathes new life into our ad account and also just our brand in general. Even everyone inside of our own in-house creative team wants to work better because there's now that competition between us and the agencies as well, because we don't want to let them take the top spender, because you don't want to be getting outperformed by someone else that isn't even a part of your brand. It breathes new life and competition into making ads. It makes it more fun again. And then you also just have more people that you're able to talk to about your ideas. And these are people that spend 24/7 on this stuff, and they're inside so many different ad accounts. They're across every single different niche. They know exactly what's working on Meta and stuff. So it's really good to be able to pick their brains too. So the next thing that we've been working on recently, and that's really going to help us to scale and our overall customer experience, is building more in-house teams for landing pages and advertorials specifically. So having someone that's constantly coming up with new concepts to be able to test for landing pages, writing out all the copy, coming up with new stories, coming up with different formats. It's going to allow us to scale way more on cold traffic, and especially with the native ads that we've been running that are performing so much better. Having these really in-depth landing pages that are teaching you a lot, and also being able to test so much more of them because you have someone that's dedicating all of their time to just this project and just building out landing pages. It's going to allow us to test so much more. It's going to allow us to be so much more efficient on Meta. And yeah, now that we've cracked creatives for the time being, it's really just about optimizing everything else. So another thing that we're working really hard on currently, and that we've seen a lot of other brands doing, and it's paying off massive dividends for them, and that's why we're getting into it, is running a UGC creator program. So we're getting all of our previous winning creators and also new creators that we're onboarding now. We're getting them to come up with their own concepts and scripts and running their own content basically. So it just allows us to get so much more output from these creators without us having to spend the time writing scripts. We can scale it infinitely because there's always more creators, and if you don't have to spend the time writing the scripts for them, then yeah, it's basically infinite scale. And basically we're just putting them all on a percentage of ad spend deal, and this works really well because it basically incentivizes them to constantly be pumping out more creatives and high level creatives. If they make good content, they'll make more money. This is something that you guys can do basically even when you're just starting out, is if you find high level creators that can make good content constantly and can do it themselves as well, even if you help them out a bit with frameworks and maybe even ad scripts as well, it allows you to only spend money when they're actually making you money. You just have so much more content to work with in general. Now that we're in a massive acquisition period as well, we really want to be honing in on our subscription program and working on retention and LTV. The worst thing that can happen to you while you're acquiring customers so heavily is basically letting them all leak out at the bottom because of bad fulfillment, bad retention strategies, basically making people not really feel valued and have a reason to keep coming back to your brand. The whole point of us scaling so hard on the front end is because we know that they're going to keep coming back, and we'll make all of that profit back on the back end. So now's the time to make sure that we actually are maximizing all the money that we can make from these people and making sure that they're in love with the brand, that they want to keep coming back, they love our product. There's a reason for them to say subscribed. So yeah, the main thing is just sort of tightening up the entire customer journey so people have a reason to feel like they want to be subscribed for 3 months, 6 months plus. So not just giving people discounts, making people feel like they're a part of a community, like they're getting even more value from being subscribed for longer. The longer that they're with us, the more value that they're getting. So that's free gifts, early product drops, that sort of thing. Coming up, we have a rebrand and some new SKUs that we're going to drop, so that will also help with retention, returning customers, as well as the rebrand helping us with retail and hopefully getting on some shelves at some point this year. Yeah, I won't go too deep into those because because there's not really much I can share with you guys on that front. So I'll keep it pretty short. And yeah, apart from that, coming up, we've got end of financial year for Australia. So that's a massive sales period, basically the biggest sales period on the calendar for Australia outside of Black Friday, of course. So the margin for those couple of weeks in June should be really fat in Australia, should allow us to scale pretty hard with low CPAs. And as I've been talking about for that whole video, any extra profit and margin that we're getting from Australia will just allow us to spend more in America and also Australia on acquisition and getting people into the funnel. So yeah, this whole quarter is basically structured around acquiring as many customers as possible. If you guys take away anything from this video, I think it should just be that the subscription model business and the retention model business is really the way to go. It's going to allow you to outbid everyone. It's going to allow you to have much cleaner projections of how much money that you're going to make and how much money you can spend on acquisition. And it's not really about profit for those first couple of years when you want to build something massive. It's just about taking as much ground as you can from other people, really making a name for yourself in the market and just building your brand as big as possible so you can make that money later. So yeah, acquire hard right now and rake in those profits later. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about how we are running things, or you have any ideas or brand ideas or questions that you have for me that you want to run by me, feel free to join my Discord in the link below. Completely free. We have a community in there. Lots of people are active and happy to help out. Me and all my business partners are in there. We'll be happy to help you out as well. And yeah, hopefully this was valuable for you guys. A bit of a different video to usual. But yeah, that's where our business is at right now, and I'll see you guys later.